If you'd like to learn 3 bourbon cocktails that really aren't so well known, keep watching on Let's Talk Drinks. Hi everybody, so I recently just got back from a trip to Louisville to Maker's Mark and Jim Beam. Thank you to the Blend, the scholarship here in Australia. If you haven't checked out my videos of me being an absolute nutcase to customers, that was my promotion for winning the trip, although I ended up winning for the best cocktail instead of the social media content. There will be a video coming up soon with Anna, who was actually won the trip as well. It was really cool that 2 of us from all Australia, 2 of us from the same venue won the trips. So drank a lot of bourbon, I can tell you, in Louisville. It was just amazing. Had the best time ever. So I wanted to make 3 cocktails that are bourbon based, but we don't really know them. Okay, we all know mint juleps, we know whiskey smashes, we know whiskey sours and all the other old fashions and so forth. But I think these are going to be pretty good. I haven't tried these. This is what I love about doing the videos, is I want to try them for the first time on camera, and then I can just be honest about whether I like them or not. So the first cocktail that I'm going to make for you is called Brown Derby. I have no idea what the origins are. I found this in a magazine. Let's give it a try. The first ingredient that we're going to use, obviously, is bourbon. I'm using Maker's Mark. I love this bourbon. It was so good to get to the distillery and check it all out. If you ever go there, you need to ask for Amanda Humphreys. She was the best tour guide I've ever had in any distillery ever. Awesome work. Okay, 50 mils or 1 ounce and 2/3 of bourbon. We're using the Maker's Mark. Now a house pour at 18th and all my other venues, by the way. Next up, we're going to use 30 mils of fresh grapefruit juice. What I love about this cocktail is it's super simple as well. Next up, 30 mils or 1 ounce again of a honey syrup. So I've used a Manuka honey from New Zealand, and I've watered it down 50-50 just so that I can sort of pour it in. Makes it a lot easier. So technically it's 15 mils of honey, 50 mils of water, but I'm going to say 30 mils of a honey syrup. And that is it. I'm going to give it a nice shake, and I'm going to serve this one up in a Nick and Nora glass. I like to chill down my glassware, as you know, my followers. And if you're not a follower or a subscriber, please like and subscribe. Trying to build this channel. It's free and it would be much appreciated. Using liquid nitrogen, we use a fair bit of liquid nitrogen at the 18th Amendment bars. We're going to give that a shake, okay? All right. Now, normally when I make cocktails, I'll always give it a try as I go, but I'm just running off the specs and I want to do it exactly to the recipe. And Australian Bartender Magazine is a pretty good magazine, so they'll have the specs right. And for my garnish, just a grapefruit twist. Just going to squeeze it over the drink to release those essential oils. This is the Brown Derby. Let's give it a try. Oh. How have I not tried this before? Yum. Okay, the bourbon is totally coming through, which is what I love about this drink already. The grapefruit juice, I don't think I've ever done grapefruit juice in a bourbon cocktail. Works really well because that Manuka honey is a little bit sweet and it's perfectly balanced that out. I don't know what to say about this cocktail. I don't even know what the origins of it are, but I would suggest that you definitely make one. I've got a lot of bourbon friends around the world, a lot of friends and followers, subscribers, whatever you want to call it in America. This drink will be perfect for summer, winter, any time of the year. That's great for bourbon cocktail number 1. Bourbon cocktail number 2 is called Port of Manhattan. So the first ingredient that I'm going to use is 45 mils or 1.5 ounces of a bourbon. Doing Maker's Mark here because I love Maker's. This is a stirred down cocktail, so you can do this in, you could do it in the base of one of your shakers if you don't have a mixing glass at home. It will taste just as good, but I like a nice Japanese style mixing glass that I can see what I'm doing. Second ingredient is 15 mils or 1/2 ounce of a sweet vermouth. I'm using the Dolan sweet vermouth. So as I said earlier, it's already looking like a Manhattan. Next ingredient will be 10 mils or 1/3 ounce of a tawny port. I'm using the Galway Pipe 12-year-old tawny. Now we know why it's called Port of Manhattan, right? Couple dashes of orange bitters. I only use Regan's orange bitters. And I've used more than 2 dashes because this little dasher here doesn't, let out as much bitters as a bottle would. Then we want 2 dashes of a chocolate bitters. I'm using the Fee Brothers. 1, 2. And what the bitters is doing there is, because I've got the sweet vermouth and obviously the port as well, it's going to make it a little bit sweet. It's going to add a lot of character, flavour, complexity to the cocktail, but it also balances out the sweetness from the port especially, okay? Chuck some ice in there. Gaz Regan's finger, my favourite stirrer, or bar spoon. Just chilling it down now and also diluting that drink down a little bit. That awkward silence. This is that great time to talk to your customer. How's your day going and so forth. If it's your friends, they can wait. Get that a little bit of a taste off his finger. Ooh, yum. I like it already. Never tried this one, by the way. Okay. As you can see, I always chill down my glassware. I'm going to pour this one into a Nick and Nora. However, you could do it in a rocks glass if you don't have one. Yes, it'll be super short, but it'll taste just as good. Or a cocktail glass. It's a pretty short drink, so make sure that if you are using a cocktail glass that it's not too big. That's why I love using the Nick and Nora. That wash line is perfect. If your friends are walking away with it or you're taking it out to the table, you're not going to have any spills. Now the garnish that it calls for is a discarded orange zest. A little bit like you would do, let's say for example, in a Cosmo, which Dale DeGroff really brought to life. Okay, flamed orange zest. Just really releasing those burnt orange essential oils over the cocktail. I'm glad when it works. I hate when you do a flamed orange zest and it doesn't work. It's really sort of disappointing. Kind of a bit like a premature ejaculation, I guess. Should I have said that? Probably not. Port of Manhattan, cheers. Okay, yum, I like it. For me, it's a little bit dry. Not that I want to ruin the original recipe, but I'm just going to go probably about 2.5 mils or just a little splash. What does that convert into ounces? I'm not sure. I'm sure my friends in America will know. Let's just check the balance now. Way better, way better. That's a great old fashioned. Do I like it as much as a regular old fashioned? Maybe not, but very different. Totally worth trying though. I could actually go a little bit more port in there, but I do have a sweet tooth. That is really great. That Maker's Mark is just coming through perfectly. The chocolate bitters just rounds off. The orange bitters works really well as well with the sweet vermouth and the flamed orange zest. I can see why they called for a flamed orange zest in this cocktail. It looks kind of fancy too in front of your customers or your friends. Check it out, you know, definitely worth trying. So I stumbled across this recipe. It was the top 25 bartenders of 2020, so a couple of years ago now. I looked at this recipe and I thought, man, this sounds really interesting and I want to try it. It was created by a bartender called Daniel Gregory. Dan Gregory, I've known for a long time. Dan, last time we caught up was bar show at an unlikely place. In joke there. I love what Dan does. He's worked at the best bars in Australia. He's been around the world. I think he won the Bowls Global Final many years ago, and I think he's won something else. Very, very good bartender. So I haven't tried this cocktail, but I know that it's going to be great already. So the first ingredient that it calls for, obviously it's a bourbon cocktail, is 45 mils or ounce and a half of bourbon. I'm going to use Maker's Mark, of course, because I really do love this stuff. And by the way, they're not sponsoring these videos or anything like that. I use it because I really like it. Next up, it calls for 45, and this isn't my cocktail, so I'm looking of half and half, which is half milk, half cream. 45 mils. Then it calls for 4 drops of orange blossom water. So I'm going to do just a little bit there. Now make sure that you only do those 4 drops because it can be a little bit overpowering. Then 15 mils, half an ounce of sugar syrup, which I mix 1-to-1 sugar water. That is, I forgot the other ingredient. I should know. I had to run across the road to the Greek restaurant across the road, Mavs, for an egg. Ooh. 1 full small egg. All right, now I spilled egg everywhere. I only have 1 egg. Now Julia across the road said, do you want 2 in case you stuff it up? And I said, no, I'm perfect, like I won't stuff it up, but I kind of did, right? Now, I'm going to dry shake first because I want to emulsify the egg. For you newbies, dry shaking is obviously shaking it without the ice in there. Then I'll chuck some ice in. All right. I'm not going to double strain this because I normally don't double strain anything that has an egg in there. Make sure your glassware is chilled down. That fitted perfectly into the coupette. For the garnish, it's a little bit of nutmeg. You could do grated. I'm just going to use a little bit of one that's grated already for me. That looks so good. Smell that already. All right. Cleanliness behind the bar, right, George? Let's give this a try. This is called Whisky Punch. So it's like a milk punch, I guess, a flip style cocktail. Ooh. Delicious. That orange blossom is coming through nicely, by the way. Probably not the best time in Australia. We're coming into summer right now, but for my viewers around the other parts of the world, the Americans, which thank you so much. You are my biggest followers, subscribers. So everyone else, get on, keep watching these videos. This is delicious. Christmas time coming up. That is a great Christmas drink. You need to really give it a try. Dan, you've done a fantastic job. You know I love your work anyway. This is, I think, the first video that I've done with one of your cocktails in, and I've picked a banger, and it works perfectly with that Maker's Mark. The orange blossom is coming through nicely. If you're freaked out about a full egg in a drink for newbies that are out there, it is perfectly fine. Just make sure that the egg is really fresh. That's delicious. I would wholeheartedly recommend that. I don't know if this is going to come out before Christmas, but I'm going to have to make it. Happy Christmas coming up. Merry Christmas. Please subscribe, like, and we'll see you again soon on Let's Talk Drinks.